All right, welcome back. This is one of many videos I'm posting prior to DEF CON and Black Hat. And anyway, I thought I'd share this since it's been really helpful for me. This is kind of more of a development, working your way towards or up InfoSec or any IT job. You can arguably translate this to any role. Basically, this is kind of a general idea for what I put together for my attack plan. A few years ago, as I was working my way up, a few other people I talked to, including people like Sneaker Hacks and some other people in the community, they had different sort of things written down on how they're going to crush goals or move forward. I saw what they had in mind and what they were using, and I didn't want to necessarily copy it one to one. I wanted to put it in my own words or put it in my own thought process, so A, it would commit, and B, because I've made it, I've showed the conviction of wanting to make my own tool or resource, and that's going to give me much more conviction towards and commitment towards following it. So, and it was basically in some cases it was basically, okay, here's some basic stuff. Do this, this, work on this, this. Then here's some more intermediate stuff. Do this, repeat, same with advanced, so on. So when I put my own together, ended up being a little more wordy, for lack of a better word. So anyway, here it is. So back around the end of 2016, I started putting something together for how I was going to do things for the next year. And this is before I even had a full-time job in InfoSec, or even the consulting gig. I started like writing out how I was going to work this, and then just kind of came up with what you're seeing in the spreadsheet here. It's kind of a derivative of what's called the CARVER matrix. This is an acronym. I'll just read this here, or just sum it up. The CARVER matrix is basically something that Special Forces units use to target and assess a target and attack plan based on what things have the most impact or can be done and your most effective impact in that order. So one thing I did here was kind of do the same thing. I kind of based it off of what a lot of different performance systems use, like SMART or other ones that you have different metrics and then ranking those things out. And I could sit here and argue that everything's important in one manner, but it might not be as important or effective as another. So, for instance, let's zoom here. Come on. Uh-oh, not that big. Not that. Where to go? There we go. So what I did was, yeah, you see the goofy acronym. So for each metric, there's a different ranking that each thing has. And here's what I did. This is back in 2016, or towards the end of 2016, 2017. We'll get to the tactical portion in a minute, but I want to explain how this works. Prior to explaining how this works, I will say that, go ahead and copy verbatim what you're seeing here. That's fine. If it works for you, great. But what will probably be more effective is if you take some of the principles or ask yourself the things that are important to you, you'll be able to build your own attack plan that works best for you. So what I did was kind of rank each category I want to develop in. I picked 7. Metaphorically speaking, I wanted just a little more than a handful, so hence the 7 and not the 3 or 4. So for each thing I have a significance, and then measurable, what's going to give me the least constraints, and I explain all this stuff here. So for each thing, they had a different ranking. So out of those 7, I kind of ranked, okay, which number 1, which one's 7th important out of the 7, and did this for each category. And I kind of I gave myself examples. So what it's going to do is, ultimately, once I get the total value, I know this is the least important thing. I know it seems counterintuitive for security research, but based on the metrics, what did I want to study? And so this was labeled most important, which I just now realized this, but this actually came in handy because it was something very relevant to what I ended up doing towards the end of that year. And what I did was thoroughly explain myself how all this stuff works. And so what I'll do now is go over to what I did for each month. So you're looking at more tactically. Per month, I've got different things I'm going to do during that month. At the time, I may have come up with these things in advance. So the way I would do this is like the first weekend of every month, I'd start putting together stuff for that month. And there's a bunch of stuff all the way down. So each month, if you'll notice, I did certain things in VulnHub. And this doesn't necessarily mean getting a full start to finish on something, but these are different things I was studying on at the time. I kind of moved on from CISSP from there for now anyway. But every month, I would give myself things to do and work on. And I didn't want to do it like necessarily every week because I know what schedules are like, and it becomes this compulsive thing where I'll just start filling up and putting in a bunch of filler and not being as effective. So what I do, so at the end of the month, if you notice back here, I gave kind of a point value for each of these things, or the ranking, and that's based on the totals here. So I go over here now, and now I know, okay, this is the most important thing, learning code, stuff like that. So I kind of started this thing in December of 2016 and pushed it out all the way in November. And I used that last month to, at the end of this, going into 2018, I was going to use last month to reevaluate this. We'll get to that in just a minute. So here's what I ended up doing. It'll show the points added up, and there's the max I can get for each one. And down here, I've got percentage ranks. So I ended up accomplishing 64% of the goals for the year. Now, if we were grading papers in A, B, C, D, F grades, that would mean I either failed or just barely passed. However, this is the first time I did this, so that's just how far I got. I didn't really anticipate how much I was going to do in the month or how this was going to work, but here we are. So I got 64% complete this year, and the following year I was going to do a year-to-year comparison. But then I started getting all these ideas and changed strategy a little bit. I made the numbers easier to add up in total. I dropped it down to 5. So I noticed based on what I did in 2017, I got had an average of 4.3 tasks. I finished a month. So it's like, okay, let's raise the bar a little bit, see how we get closer to 5, see how that works out. So now we go over to 2018. I made things, I didn't explain as much in this because I already know the base of this, and kind of added things up, and changed the categories a bit too. That's one thing I did different. Not only the volume, but I also changed what I was going to work around. So far, as of August the 4th, I have 37% complete. That's what I completed last year. Now, the thing I have to take into consideration is, in retrospect, maybe I could have done the same thing 2 years in a row to see true progression or degression before changing this, and I'll probably do that next year, where I'll just repeat what I did a couple years ago as far as the checklist, and then doing the stuff for this year. And I may change my plans, but that's why usually this kind of goes over an 11th month period since the first one started in November, or kind of December-ish. December? No. Okay, so starting in December. So what I'm going to more likely do is just treat this like an 11-month thing and save the last month. And I saved pretty much last December. I spent most of the month defining how I was going to do this because I wanted to start in January. So the way this is working, I'm going to work on this stuff till December, and then January is going to be my month where I kind of reassess what I do. So I don't want to necessarily have the same predictable year by year. It's over that 12-month rotation. So do this thing for 12 months, see how it works, spend the next month reassessing, the 12 months after that, start it over again. And so it seems like where I'm going. I may do the same, I'll continue the rotation, but may do a comparison from 2017 to the next one, just repeating that same burn list per month. So this is my rather neurotic system. I'm sure there are people that are much better at Excel than me, or spreadsheets, that will come up with even more neurotic systems, or maybe you just want to keep it simple. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have for this video. If you like what you saw, I can give you more information. Maybe I'll post this on GitHub. Anyway, until next time, cheers.